just saying.
TCT presents
I'm just saying.
Go.
I'm just saying.
I am so happy that you're here with me today, man. We are going to have a ball.
I'm just saying.
I'm Just Saying with Dan Willis.
I'm just saying.
Hey, everybody, what's up? Welcome to TCT tonight. I'm your boy, Dan Willis. Got it on lockdown here for I'm Just Saying. I'm mighty happy you're here tonight. I promise you tonight's show is packed with inspiration, with energy, and with some education. Listen, I've got my girl here from Gospel Today magazine, which, by the way, you guys should know, this is the truth. Don't tell nobody. Gospel Today is the only magazine I actually pay for a subscription for. It's my favorite magazine. It gives me all the inside scoop on what's going on in Gospel Today. And the founder, publisher, and president is here, Dr. Teresa Hairston, in the house today. I promise you it's going to be going down. So holler at somebody and tell them, hey, Dr. Hairston's on I'm Just Saying today. And you know what? You know who I got here. I got my boy, DJ
What's
Pookie.
up? What up?
What's happening, buddy?
What's up, man?
I'm just making it do what it do.
Oh, man, it's going down tonight. We
Who
got
is
a
that?
legend in the house.
Who
it's
is
going
that?
down. It's Fred Hammond, the one and only Fred Hammond. You know, Detroit, now he down in Houston making it representing Chicago and Detroit. You know, he going to make it do what it do all the time. He going to make it do what it do.
You know what I noticed about you, DJ? You don't realize this, but you hype Fred Hammond more than you do anybody. I'm just saying.
Hey, Fred Hammond, that's my dude. You know,
I
you know,
see.
I'm just saying. You
Well,
understand?
he's been on the battlefield a long time.
He has. You going to sing? You know, Fred been on that battlefield.
That
Touch three
reminds me
people.
of a song I want to sing right now called I'm on the Battlefield. Let's get this party started tonight. This will get you just energized right before you try to go to sleep. Here we go. Oh. Woo! Little something for you. Here we go. I'm a soldier on the battlefield and I'm fighting for the Lord. I promised him that I'll serve you till I die, and I'm fighting for the Lord. Listen, I've had heartaches and pain, sunshine and rain, but I'm fighting, fighting for the Lord. Yeah, I've been up and I've been down, y'all, but I've never turned around, 'cause I'm fighting for the Lord. Listen here we go. And if I hold out, if I hold out, then I know I'll get my. Oh, I'm feeling this thing. Listen, I'm a soldier on the battlefield, and I'm fighting for the Lord. Listen, I promised him, Lord, I'll serve you till I die, and I'm fighting for the Lord. Listen here, I've had heartache and pain, sunshine and rain, but I'm fighting for the Lord. Oh, I've been up and I've been down, but I've never turned around, 'cause I'm fighting for the Lord. Oh, if I hold out, if I hold out, if I hold out, if I hold out, come on, choir. Hold out, if I hold out, if I hold out, if I hold out. Don't you ever give up, then I know. Here we go. Oh. Now listen, right here's the time you put your shoulders back. You lift your head up and you be encouraged and you speak over yourself. Put a little dancing in your step. Come on, choir. I'm on the battlefield and I'm fighting for the Lord. I'm on the battlefield. Yeah, I'll never give up. Oh, I'll never give in. I ain't going nowhere, y'all. I'm on the battlefield fighting for the Lord. Oh, Lord. Come on, soprano. sopranos. What the altos got to say. Come on, altos. I wonder what the brothers got to say. Here we go, brothers. Come on. Can I get a witness to say? Yeah, everybody, come on. Lord knows I'm fighting for the Lord. I'll never give up. Don't you ever give in. Don't you ever give up. Don't you ever turn around. Don't you ever take down. Oh, listen, sometime you gotta put your shoulders back. Hold your head up. Oh, Lord.
What's up? What up? What up? What up? Hey. Pastor got the right outfit on for singing in the battlefield today. He got the G.I. Joe look going down. He representing, boy, G.I. Joe, American hero. Hey, hit us up at I'm Just Saying at tct.tv. Make sure you drop that G, because if you put that G on the end of saying, guess what? Your email is not going to come to the network. So please make sure you drop that G. Hit us up. We're looking for artists, comedians, praise dancers, G.I. Joe people. It don't matter. We just gonna make it do what it do here on I'm Just Saying. We still in the Christmas season. You see the Christmas stuff behind me. It's cold outside. That's why I'm inside trying to stay fly. So we're gonna make it do what it do up in here. I'm ready to get down into this interview because it's gonna go down up in here tonight. Yeah, thank you for watching I'm Just Saying.
DJ Pookie, I'm telling you what, whatever they're paying you, it's enough. Anyway, that's my boy right there. Listen, have you ever thought about starting a business and you worried about everybody that was against you, or better yet, you started it with $300, that was all you had, and you grew it into one of the largest entrepreneurship things going on in America today in the church community? Well, if you've ever thought about it and you said, I only got $300, you've got to hear the story and the journey today of my guest, author, publisher, speaker, motivational speaker, boot camp seminarian, you name it, she's doing it today. Please help me welcome, I'm so happy you're here, Dr. Teresa Hairston.
Well, good to be here. How are you?
All is well.
I'm glad to be here.
I'm happy you're here.
Thank you.
We haven't seen each other we were just trying to figure out before we went on air tonight, how many years?
Right.
It's been a lot of years.
A lot of years.
But you still look like you're 29.
Oh, I like that.
You better tell the Lord thank you.
Thank you.
Let's talk tonight, Dr. Hairston. You hail from where?
Well, I'm in Atlanta, Georgia.
There you go.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your journey, because what the story of the transformation and what God has done in your life is going to help millions, I believe millions of people tonight watching across the nations. Wow. So can we just jump into it?
Sure, let's jump into it.
Let's start. It started in 1989, is
1989.
that correct?
Well, it started in 1989 with Gospel Today magazine, which, 20 years ago, 21 years ago. But prior to that, we know each other from the gospel music industry.
Yes, we do.
I was in New York working at a label and was doing promotions and marketing. So, of course, when you do that, you want to reach as many people as you possibly can. So I started a little newsletter there for the company, and it went out to all these people, and we talked about what the artists were doing, where they were touring and all this stuff, and people just loved it. And when you're trying to reach out to radio,
I remember that.
You remember that?
I remember that.
And so I went, the response, because of course people want to know what the artists are doing, and you want to get that information to them. So the response was overwhelming. The company says, "Oh, this is so great. We're going to take it and put it in a bigger division," which wasn't my division. And I said, "Oh." After
you had started it.
I started it. Yeah, so they took it and they said, but you have to understand that sometimes the things that the enemy wants to destroy you with are the things that God will turn around and use to bless you.
You don't know me, Dr. Hairston. I will turn this table over and run in this studio. What the enemy means for harm, God means for your good. He did it with Joseph.
He will turn it around.
Yeah.
And so I started with the 4-page newsletter. After that, I went back to the company. I said, "Hey, well, do you mind if I just do something on my own?" They said, "Oh, no, that's not going to be anything." And so I started a 4-page newsletter. At the time, divorced, single mom, 3 kids.
3 children.
Working 2 jobs. And
Wait, this is when you started it?
yes.
So
yes.
you didn't wait for the conditions to get right.
Oh, ooh. If I waited, I don't know if they'd ever get right.
Yep.
You know?
Now you're preaching.
So I started with $300, the 3 kids.
And that's the truth.
I
You
mean,
started with $300. I read that, $300.
That is the truth. Yes. Yes. And you know, it was, I mean, a homely little newsletter. It did not even look as good as a church bulletin these days. And people did laugh at me. People did talk about me. I had the haters and all the folks that said it's not going to work. That, I mean, people that I respected, they said, well, you know, baby, just, you know, keep your day job because, you know, we don't want you to give up.
How did you handle that, before you go any further, how did you handle that when people you loved, respected, and thought might motivate you, might support you? How did you handle that?
It was discouraging. I have to be honest, it was discouraging. And, you know, I would sit back sometime and I would just think, well, you know, oh, well, okay. But, you know, I went home and I would look at those 3 kids of mine, and I believed that if I didn't do something different, I was not going to get some different results. So we have, you know, it's all about legacy.
Yes, I believe that.
And if we just do what we've been doing the same way we've been doing it, what are we going to have that's different?
Right.
So we have to leave, you know, the Bible says a good man or woman leaves an inheritance to his children's children.
Right.
And so I knew that I wanted my kids and their kids to have something that they could look at as a legacy. This is something that I passed down to them. And not only my kids, but, you know, the generational wealth that we have is not just for our own flesh and blood children, but it's the children of our you know, this whole generation.
That's
because
right.
some of us are blessed to have platforms that speak to thousands and millions and billions.
Yes.
And I believe that when we're faithful over that little bit, that God will take that and use us to bless nations. He has called us to nations.
Well, you're preaching my sermon. I've always believed that. And from that, now I want you to give us more of the journey, but from that $300 start, you said not as good as a church bulletin's these days, to this high glossy, incredible. Dr. Hairston, I was not exaggerating when I told you this. When I opened the show tonight, this is the only magazine I actually pay for a subscription. I wouldn't let you give it to me for free or anybody else, because I really believe in what you're trying to do. And I know that the artists need this platform also.
Yeah. Artists, preachers, you know, we evolved. We started as a gospel music publication, went from there to music and ministry, and now we're doing lifestyle. So there's health, there's fitness, there's style, there's fashion, there's all kinds of things. There's
and you write
living.
Much of that, the substance in that first part. I know when I first opened, you've always, I'll tell you something. I've preached a couple of things you had in there.
With my ties. Anyway, all right.
I'll get back to you on that.
Right. But you know what? I have a column, and God really has put this preaching thing in me years ago, and I ran around. I said, okay. And people would prophesy. I would have men and women of God just prophesy over me. You know, God has put a word in your mouth. And I said, you mean pen. And you know, He finally released me to that just last year. I finished my Doctor of Ministry degree, and God really has elevated me, and I've been able to go into some houses and minister the Word of God, and I am just amazed at how God just continues to elevate you when you continue to humble yourself. And you know, it's about being teachable. Like little kids, you know, okay, well, I did this, and some of us, you know, we want to sit around and talk about, well, here's who I am, you know, and if you just are convinced with where you are being the end of what you are, then, you know, God will say, okay, that's what you decided.
There you go.
You know, maybe I got the more for you, but you just want to sit there, and I want to go for the more. I want to live in the more all the time.
I see.
So, yeah.
How long did it take to really get on your feet? When you started with that $300, how long did it take? And I know that that's relative, because the truth is what some people consider on their feet and what other people consider, they may not still today consider if they knew all the struggles.
Exactly.
But in your opinion, how long did it take?
Well, I started with the $300. 7 months later, I decided I couldn't do it anymore. I'd run out of money. And instead of quitting, I turned it into a glossy magazine. I don't know why, because I'm crazy. You know, I just believed God. And so I started with the 300, ran out of money. And when I turned it into the magazine, it was like that leap of faith.
I guess so.
And that leap of faith landed me into my purpose. So the magazine, it was never supposed to be just a little newsletter on the side. It was supposed to be a magazine. Ooh. And so when you go where it's supposed to be, that's when God says, okay, that's when I'll meet you in faith. So when I did the magazine thing, people started calling me. They would find me, literally find me, call me and say, I want to advertise in your magazine. And in 1 month, in 30 days, I was able to pay the bills that I said I couldn't pay and move forward with what I said I couldn't do. So and God just changed my speech pattern, because when you speak a thing, that's how the worlds are framed, right, with your words.
That's right.
So I began to change how I spoke and said, I would say, oh no, I'm not a publisher. I just, no, I am a publisher.
Yes, ma'am, you are.
I am reaching nations with this magazine, and it's going global. And I just began to speak that thing, and God began to take my word and just confirm it with what he had already had for me.
Two things that I want to talk about, and let's talk about them each individually.
Mm-hmm.
But let's briefly talk about, you have a praise and worship conference.
Yes. The Praise and Worship Conference is every February. In 2010, it's going to be in Jacksonville.
Everybody in Jacksonville, make sure you're looking out for this. What's the Praise and Worship Conference called, Dr. Hairston?
It's the Gospel Heritage Praise and Worship Conference. That's it.
And it'll be in Jacksonville, Florida in February.
In February.
So all our people in Jacksonville, make sure you're looking for it.
And it's actually something that people come from around the world to attend. Yeah, thousands of people come to this Praise and Worship Conference. It is phenomenal. We've got speakers like Donnie McClurkin, and Kirk Franklin, Hezekiah Walker, Rudy McKissick. I mean, Noel Jones is going to be there. Wow. It is phenomenal. And we're speaking about worship, how to just deepen your life in the area of worship, whether you're a pastor. We've got seminars and classes, because that worship is one of the #1 factors in church growth. Pastors, you need to be there, because this conference will revolutionize your ministry. Praise and worship leaders, connect with people around the country. You need to come. Praise dancers, young people. We're struggling now because of all that we've been through with the economy and with all that. You need to understand that there's a place that you go in God that sets up a presence in your life. And when he said in the presence of God is what? Fullness of joy at his right. So that's where you ought to be able to connect every day. That changes your life, and it makes what God has for you available to you by faith.
I pray that you get overwhelmed with that conference in February, that they just deluge you. You mentioned a word about it, connecting, which brings me to the second point.
Yes.
Now, the place that God is really using you today, you have a new book.
Yes, a new book called How to Pursue Your Purpose. Thank you.
Is there anything you're not doing, Dr. Hairston?
I want to die empty.
I'm saying. Yes. So the name of the book again is?
How to Pursue Your Purpose.
How to Pursue Your Purpose. And it speaks to, now let's talk about this.
Yes.
It speaks to what's really in your heart, what God's really leading you to do, which is so necessary in Christianity and in the church world. Speak to what this book is about.
Well, everything is born out of your experience.
Yes.
And, it's kind of like when I went through this whole thing of starting with $300, having the 3 kids, the 2 jobs, the struggles. The thing that I found out was, you can be very smart, intelligent, and all of that. Intelligence will run out. Good looks, charm, all those things, the connections, the people, all that stuff, that is always limited, because you don't ever know all the people you need to know. You don't always have all the connections you need, but you can have all the faith that you need, because you can continue to grow your faith.
Correct.
And when God gives you all these things, faith, patience, all the humility, all these things are principles that will take you, those things will take you to any place you want to go. And the problem that we have is that we limit ourselves to the seasons and the times and the economic conditions that are around us, and we look around us and think about what we can do, but what you can do is wrapped up in who you are, and who you are was determined when God created you. Before, we were formed in our mother's bellies.
Yes.
God knew us, and he knew what he put in us, so he knew that everything that we would face, he'd already put in something in us to prepare us to handle handle it. So that's where I'm going. I'm teaching people.
That's what this book is
This
about.
book is about how to pursue your purpose. So it's about principles that you can draw on that are already available to you. You just may not be drawing on them. And so
Do you use some of your life experiences, the things that you've been through to build this magazine?
It is filled with my life journey, experiences that I've been through.
Because that's what I want to read about.
Yeah.
How you went from that single mother, 3 children,
Yeah.
$300 to this today.
Yes, yes.
I mean, everybody in the world knows you. So I'm thinking, and then not just magazines, but this is
I started a record company.
Record company. Is that
Yes.
where this CD came from?
Yes, it came from a record
One of my
company.
favorite songs, My Praise is My Weapon. Oh my
Uh-huh.
goodness, our church choir, our dancers, all.
Yeah.
This is my song right here. That's a church jam right there. And this came out of your record
Yes.
label.
This came out of our record label. It came out of the Praise and Worship Conference. I mean, it's just so much that is connected because, you know, I just continue to go forward. I continue to say yes. You just got to continue to say yes. Whatever it is God has called you to do, don't be afraid. You might not think it's the time. You might not have anybody around you that's saying move forward. Nobody's pushing you. But if God is whispering in your ear, it's time, believe him and do it.
Ooh, can I draw some more from you?
Yeah.
Because there's something else that I want to get everything in tonight. You do something very cutting edge called boot camps.
Yes, yes.
Tell me what is this? What is boot camp?
Boot camp is a one-day. We started as a one-day thing, and it's a 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. just intense session where we talk about mind, body, and soul.
You do this at different locations.
Yes.
You'll go into a church and
Yes.
do this on location for their congregation?
Either their congregation, a group of pastors can pull congregations together. I want to speak to entrepreneurs who are Christians.
Okay.
Because see, we ought to have something in our kingdom mentality
Right.
that says, oh, here's where our connections and network are, and we're successful.
So is this what
Because
boot camp does?
This is what boot camp does. And what we do is we network, we draw on the strength and the skills and the talents that are right in our circle.
Okay.
Because see, what we understand is that if the world can do it, we can do it 10 times better because of who we serve. And that's what's been missing many times because, you know, a lot of times we hit the ceiling and we don't believe that, you know, successful business people are sitting in the congregation, and they are.
Yes.
And there are people who are connected from, you know, the outhouse to the White House right in our congregations. And we just have to draw on those skills, those talents, those experiences. We have people, and so in boot camp, I bring people in who talk from, I mean, years of experience and success. But, you know, they talk not only about the practical and the practicable stuff that, you know, the world does and the world says. That's great. But see, we understand that wisdom comes from God.
Yes.
You might have knowledge and information, you might have all the technology, but you got to know the wisdom of God as to when his
There you go.
timing is, how to put it together, how to network. You know, you have to come into a place, you can come in and you can be at a business table in a boardroom, but you've got to draw on the wisdom of God as to what to say, how to say it, and that's what God will give you that those books won't.
I'll tell you what I love about Dr. Hairston and Gospel Today, this is just, I can't tell you enough. I'm not being paid to advertise this or anything. I really believe in what you're trying
Thank
to do.
you.
My secretary, Renee, and I don't know, if they need to edit this out, they can edit this out. We have often just been amazed at, you know, I pastor the largest multicultural church on the south side of Chicago, so we're get deluged with magazines and stuff all the time. And I'm amazed when people send us stuff with the typos and all the wow, it's just below par. And I think this is how we're representing God and Christianity in the church. And the reason why I think I'm such a fan of Gospel Today is because you not only have all the scoops and the information and all of that in there and the teaching, but it is so 5-star.
Thank you so much.
How
Thank
do you keep a pulse on that?
I think once you start doing it, you know, you learn how to do it by doing it.
Okay.
And I think that the thing that always was in me was that I believe God deserves excellence.
Yeah.
He deserves the over
But how do
and
you
the above.
ensure that at your level where you're at now? How do you ensure that?
Keep my hand in it.
Okay,
You know,
so you
it's
really
just like
do
a
keep your hand.
pastor pastoring a church.
Yeah.
You cannot go but so far from the baby.
Preach,
you know,
preach.
Because you've got to keep your hand on it and in it so that it will represent who you are. And even getting people around you. And I tell my staff, if you don't have my spirit, you can't work for me. Because how you do what you do is a reflection of me.
Because if we got this and it was jack
Yeah,
leg or if it was
right,
whack,
right.
we're not looking at those employees.
Right.
We're going to
exactly.
say,
what happened to Teresa?
what happened
Yeah.
to Dr. Teresa
Right,
Hairston? Why is she
right.
letting that go? You're
Exactly.
correct.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate the fact that what you do with excellence.
Thank you so much.
And folks can find you at gospeltoday.com.
That's right.
If they want to connect with you, or can they find out about boot camp?
All of that,
The new
yes.
book,
Yes.
everything.
Yes.
So make sure you go to gospeltoday.com.
And you know what?
What?
You found me, or your assistant found me on Facebook.